And then Florian, because he has not taken a therapy session seriously in his life, was like, name a thing. Give me an example. I trust her. I trust everything. I don't know. Stacey starts naming off in the interview. She's like, here's all the things he doesn't trust me with. Credit cards. What I'm wearing. Who I'm talking to. She's like, no, he doesn't. I thought that was more fun. That's the I love mess part of me was like, can we just talk about what we don't trust? Yeah. That sounds like it would be more fun.
Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Good job. Hey everybody, it's Two Queens, One Screen. I'm Jen.
I'm Keeley.
And I don't know if you heard, but it's almost our birthday.
Almost our birthday! Yay!
So we got presents, and I got presents, and now Keeley finally opened her present.
I did.
And in honor of me, did you do it a day early?
I did!
Yay!
Yay me!
So, hooray for us. Birthday presents are the best thing. I got a new birthday present today from my friends. It's a picture of a cat hissing, and it says, I'm a delight. And unrelated, Matt also gave me a birthday present today that's a sweatshirt of a opossum hissing that says, first of all, I'm a delight.
Wonderful.
And they didn't even talk to each other.
Wonderful.
So I feel seen and understood.
That's right.
So this week, before we get deep into 90 Day Fiancé Last Resort, we'd like to get deep into a terrible birthday present.
Speaking of deep,
my dad called me, and actually he sent me a text message, is how I was introduced to this. I don't know how you were introduced to this, Kate. I got a text message from my dad, and it was literally just a screenshot where it's a Google search, and the photos are all glass butt plugs. And then I immediately got a call after that said, call me when you can.
Great. This is great.
That I feel like explains a lot about the comfort level of our family. He needed to tell me the story because he actually, when he was a younger guy, pre-driver's license, he went to go buy my uncle, his older brother, a gift. And this is in the, I'm assuming, late 70s, early 80s?
Yes.
Of Boise, Idaho, which I don't expect everyone to be familiar with, except for probably 90% of our listening audience. So Dad had taken a bus and jumped on the bus to go to downtown Boise to buy a Christmas present for my uncle. And there he realized very quickly it wasn't really the place to go shopping for a teenage boy to find a gift at Christmas time. And he spent a long time looking, ended up at something like a Hallmark store, I believe, and was looking around and found this one thing sitting on the shelf, and it is called a dexterity toy, which is an orb that comes to a point like an exaggerated egg shape on a little pedestal. And it is filled most of the way with water. And from the base of it comes a hook that is kind of in the center of the entire thing. And there are these little balls with like a hoop attached. And you're supposed to use this to try and get the little ball on the hoop connected to the hook. Mm-hmm. I think is a good explanation. If you don't have a video, you won't know. If you do have video, I'm showing to you now. This is what they look like.
Yeah.
But I think I actually have a real articulate explanation of that. So you're welcome. Keeley, can you explain kind of more what this actually is now that we know the history of it?
It's a butt plug, everybody. That's what it is. And our sweet Mike didn't know that when he purchased it as a young lad for his older brother. And the story goes, I believe he saw it on the Facebook Marketplace, didn't he? For sale?
Something like that, yeah. Or was like, what do you think about these old toys?
Yes.
Weird old toys. But I guess that these are actually, they didn't know that the internet was going to become a thing in this way. You couldn't just go buy a sex toy. Definitely not just find it super easy in downtown Boise. So this is actually a way that they could put these things out in the general public, and it was like a down low way to get a hold of sex toys, is that they would be marketed as a dexterity toy.
Yes.
So someone who goes, oh, I was looking for one of those, knows exactly what it is when they're picking it up, but also unsuspecting young men buy it for their older brother. Absolutely.
And then find out when they are 60 years old that it is.
My favorite part of this story is that Dad is a really great gift giver. Mm-hmm. He really is. When he finds the right thing, he's just the best gift that my husband has ever gotten from my dad. Mm-hmm. And I gave Matt children. Yeah, some of the best gifts any of us have ever gotten have been from my dad. He's really good at it. And until he saw that gift has haunted him as a terrible gift. What kind of gift is this? It wasn't that exciting. What was he actually supposed to do with it? He didn't get him anything heartfelt or useful. They all just kind of went, oh, okay. And he said that for decades he has thought about that and kind of had that little twinge of oh, I really regret getting him that gift. And now I think he feels really great about it.
Absolutely.
How can you not?
Oh, and he feels really great that Carl was the receiver of that gift because of their relationship. Yeah, not my husband. Not Steve.
Not Steve. It's the oldest brother.
Yes.
The oldest brother gets the butt plug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's tightly wound, so he needs one to loosen it up a little bit.
Oh, no comment. See, I don't know. The Cheney guys, they moved to Florida and they chill out significantly, is what I've heard. But actually, is Steve tightly wound? I feel like he hides it well.
Oh, he's very tightly wound.
But he keeps it. Keeps it hidden.
He keeps it hidden. Your dad loosens him up quite a bit. When they're around each other, they act like they're 12 years old. It's very cute.
I'm going to see him this weekend. I spent last weekend with him at a koi fish show, and then this weekend he hired a magician for my birthday party. So, did you guys hear I was getting a magician? I'm so excited.
It's not weird at all.
Listen,
weird.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like that's half of why you like me. Because you don't know what you're going to get from me, right?
I just want to know what kind of show this magician is going to do at an adult birthday party.
No, there are going to be children there, so hopefully it's not. So hopefully he keeps it kind of clean. Apparently, he's won many awards in South America. I genuinely have no idea. It's going to be a delight. I don't have a segue. I don't know how to I don't know how to flow from this over to the other thing. But it was a week this week. This whole week has been intense. So thank goodness I get the magician because there's been a lot going on. And then last night I watched and took all of my notes for our last resort and then our Between the Sheets. And I if anyone can see, I'm writing in all the margins. There's so many things. It was a heavier episode, I feel like.
Yeah, there was a lot. It was episode 15. They named it Last Time Asking. Oh, my Lord. Well,
it's the fallout of the weird wild night of drinking. Again, weird wild night of drinking. No one's learned a lesson. There's been a couple fights, the big main ones being Jasmine and Gino, and then Stacey and Florian. But it's all coming to this end where we want to tie everything up with a nice bow, and instead I feel like everything is more frayed and confused than ever. Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Oy. Do you even want to talk about them ending at the bar? Because I really wish they would have ended it last week, because it was very kind of short at the bar. I just don't know why they didn't end it last week with the 5 minutes or the 7 minutes that they had in the beginning. We see Julia going to confront Gino, and she says, look, Jasmine's not a cheater. And he says, yes, she is. And then the girls get into one van, of course. The boys get into another van, of course. But Julia steps into the van with the boys.
Which had strong Sheena Shea vibes to me.
Oh.
I would rather get gangbanged by every single one of you than be in the van with that girl. Did you not have... That's what I thought of when Julia got into that van. That's what Sheena said. If you guys haven't watched Vanderpump, that's what Sheena Shea said in Vegas, because she's the worst.
I just thought of Ari saying Julia wanting male attention.
Oh,
that's what I thought of.
100%.
Yeah, because Brandon wasn't there, and I just thought of, well, she wants male attention. That's why she got in the van. Yeah, so she hops in the van with the boys, and then, Jasmine is boo-hooing in the van with the girls. Yeah.
Into Stacey's lap. Stacey, who's just been completely convinced that her husband's cheating on her again.
Yeah.
And Jasmine's like, he called me a cheater and now I can't fuck Matt. And then she's like crying. And her and Darcey are just these little clips of useless phrases at each other.
Yeah.
Right? There's, we got your back, girl.
Yeah.
Hoes before bros. I'm here from you. You just let it out. The truth will come out. And you're just like, nothing that you're saying has any substance. You're just like,
yeah.
I would have so much fun with them, I think.
Well, you have to be drunk. Yes. You have to be drunk.
Done. In a second. Yes, please. I would love to hang out with them. I think it would be a shit show. And it wouldn't be my shit show, though, but it would be fun to be along for the ride. But yeah, the most depressing car ride home for the girls' car, where they're all trying to talk themselves back up to feeling empowered, but everyone's upset. And then Julia in the car with these dudes, and they're all talking about how Jasmine is cheating. Julia's like, no, she's not. And then she drops the bomb. Julia, the bomb dropper, who maybe needs to keep her mouth shut a little bit. And she's like, no, I've seen him. I met him. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, what does he look like? And she's like, well, not like Gino. He's got big muscles. I did enjoy that Josh was like mine. And she was like, no, much bigger. Fucking douche.
He's like, absolutely not. I don't believe it.
He did say he didn't believe that Matt's muscles were bigger than his.
Yeah. Stop it. There are other men in the world that have bigger muscles than you, sir.
Just keep your shirt on.
But that van was full of insecure men. As soon as she started describing Matt, the entire van just melted full of insecure men. And I find it quite entertaining. It was quite lovely to see. All of their faces just changed.
Yeah. Well, did you hear what Rob said when they were like, well, what does he look like? And he goes, he looks like another man. It doesn't matter what he looks like. He looks like another man.
Oh,
he just
really?
kept saying that over and over again.
Okay.
Like, okay. Pump
Thank
the brakes,
you.
Rob. No one's cheating on you. Well, maybe he is. Who knows? But what was interesting was that Jasmine also defended herself. And it was a very good point where she said, if I wanted to cheat on him, then I would have, and I might be skipping ahead, but this is just my favorite part of the episode. She's like, if I wanted to cheat on him, I would have already been cheating on him. I love Gino. I don't want to cheat on him. I'm trying to find us a solution.
Yeah.
he didn't know about Matt. If I wanted to be with Matt, I would just do both. I would have my gringo, who is my husband, who I love, and I'd have a gringo to fuck. American dream, baby.
Right. And then she says, and then why would I out myself? Right. Why would I come on a show and out myself? That is the dumbest thing someone could have done. And she's right. She is absolutely correct. Why would she out herself? That makes zero sense. So all you men, just shut the fuck up. Just shut up.
Okay. And I don't want to get called a Julia here or a male apologist. I will say Gino is upset because he feels like she's already created this attachment. This feels like an emotional affair. He's not wrong.
Of course she has, because he won't have sex with her. He won't pay for her groceries. He won't drive her anywhere. And that's what she said Matt is doing. Matt is taking her to and from the gym. Matt is buying her groceries and giving her financial support.
So crazy. I mean, I was a little surprised to hear that it's gotten that far. Matt is having to buy her groceries because Gino won't buy her vegan groceries, even though she's been vegan for 10 years.
Right.
If you know someone who is vegan, they will always tell you that they are vegan. They are checking everything to make sure that what they're eating is vegan, which is their prerogative and fine. However, Gino not getting her groceries that she can eat, that feels shitty. She doesn't have an income. She can't, can't she not have an income right now?
It's abusive. It doesn't feel shitty. It's abusive.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think she can buy groceries for herself. Therefore, that's awful.
Right.
And then I think it was Reba. She said, it's understandable that Gino has these feelings and is having this defensive reaction, but this is all of his own making.
Yes.
She said that it's like he's saying, someone is taking up the space that I left vacated? How dare they?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Right. Yeah, so none of that makes any sense. And I don't feel sorry for Gino at all. Not even the slightest. And the next morning when they wake up, he says, you break my heart, over and over again. She says, are we going to this group therapy? Because you said last night, we're done. We should be leaving like Benny and Ari. What do you want to do? And he says, you broke my heart. And then in between the sheets, Sophie says, I feel bad for Gino. And Jasmine doesn't care, which I disagree with. Absolutely. Don't agree with that at all. Because again, this is his own making. He does this. He twists everything around and makes himself the victim.
Yeah. He literally says, I feel unwanted and unneeded. She's begging for you.
Yep.
And you are pushing her away over and over and over again.
Yep.
So I was, with Sophie, the other thing, I think Sophie, again, is very immature. And I think that she's in that immaturity, kind of self-absorbed, and has missed half of what's going on with everyone else.
Yeah.
She seemed very focused on Josh because she was involved in that stuff. So she will be the first one to call Josh out in a funny way.
Yeah. But
I think she missed half of what was going on with Gino and Jasmine. And so when she's saying, I think that that's unfair of Jasmine and, he's saying that his heart is broken, she's not looking that closely and does not see the manipulation that's happening there. On top of the fact that she was like, she's lucky that I wasn't there because I would have snitched. I would have snitched immediately. I also would probably snitch, but I don't know that I would snitch if I had seen that situation, I would tell maybe my husband, and then I'd let him say whatever he wants to say, but I'm not going to go tell Gino.
Right.
Because I've seen what an asshole Gino
Right,
is.
That's what I'm saying. I was thinking in my head, who are you snitching to? Right, your husband.
Although, if you told Rob...
Yeah.
Rob would be screaming it from a balcony.
That's true. That's
with
true.
his shirt unbuttoned. Yeah, they are a little bit of a mess. And I think that I think she's completely misguided. I think she thought she had a solution that is not at all going to be the solution to fixing the problem that they have. And I hate to give Rob credit, but Rob was like, these aren't the people that would work for. There are people that it works for, not these people. Those aren't the ones.
Well, and I don't know that Rob is the person to make that judgment call. He is not a professional therapist. Mm-hmm. He is not a person at all in a relationship that is currently working either. So shut the fuck up, Rob. What is your opinion worth? Nothing. So I think he needs to shut up too.
On top of the fact that he is not going to be anybody's person who gets to decide where's the line between cheating and not cheating.
Right.
When I'm just responding to messages from strangers.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Speaking of Rob and Sophie, Rob is done there. He is so bored and so irritated with everyone and so ready to go. And what I find delightful is that when we do kind of transition into the morning after, they kind of show everybody waking up. And they show Rob and Sophie in bed. And Julia going, good morning, everybody. She's throwing open the curtains. She's climbing into bed in between them. And she's like, oh my gosh, good morning. This is what it's like to have kids and mommy and daddy play with you. He was done. Yeah. And I think that's mostly all that he and Sophie really offered this episode. They let Julia be a sounding board for a little bit because that's where I had kind of mentioned before that she had said, I am not going to stay in this country. If Brandon really is leaving today and we are going to get a divorce, I'm not trying to stay in this country. He's the only reason I'm here. Which maybe win-win for Brandon if that's true.
Yeah.
We also see Darcey and Stacey wake up together because Stacey is not going to sleep with Florian in the same room. She can't trust him.
Yeah.
So we get to see these women wake up somehow still in full glam, but in weird PJs. The thing is, so they've had this like sisters reunite. Darcey's plan, I genuinely think, went off like a hitch.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest, I do not think Florian cheated. I know that he's cheated in the past. I think this very specific scenario, Darcey spun out of control to make into an issue between Stacey and Florian so that Darcey's the good guy again.
Yep.
Which sucks. And Stacey, she's like, Darcey's a good sister and she will back me up.
Yeah.
She always has my back. And they do. I got your back, sis. Mm-hmm. And they're just throwing out all of these coffee mug bumper sticker lines at each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nothing is real. It just sounds right. Well, we're family. Family backs each other up. And you're like, all right. Stacey goes back to Florian to go have a conversation. She's irritated with him already. And one of the things that she says, I think she figured it out, what her issue was. And it was so clear. And it was the most articulate that I think that she's been with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved this conversation because she said, let's say that I'm taking your word on it. Because she asked him for all the details of exactly what happened. And he's like, I just walked her to the thing. She was drunk. And I just, we just happened to be going the same way. I wasn't taking her anywhere crazy. She lives in her building. What do you want me to do? I got her in the elevator. And she's like, you always are so chivalrous and you always love a damsel in distress. You're always helping. She's irritated about it. And she's like, but I love that about you. I actually really like that part of you, but I want to be the damsel. What about when I'm the damsel in distress and I want you to treat me that way? So she's seeing him give all this love and affection and tenderness. And we've seen him, we're like, oh my God, we love him. But he's not returning it to her in the same way. It's kind of like he's taking her for granted and she has to beg for it. And she just had that medical issue. She was in recovery and he was going out with Darcey and not staying home with Stacey and not thinking of her first. And she's like, I see you without really putting thought into it, being there for other people. And you're not doing that for me. I want you to have that for me. Not to mention, every time she starts to get emotional, he always kind of and pulls away and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Right? The fuck is wrong with you? Stop. And she's like, you want me to chill out and be soft. I want you have to be soft with me back. You have to also do that. Those are so clear what she's not getting from the relationship. And I just really liked how she worded all that.
But what if he is giving all of those things to her. We don't know. What if he actually is taking care of her when she was recovering and he said, I want to go out. Is it okay if I go out? And she's like, yes, I just want to lay here. Just leave. I want to be left alone. What if that did happen and we don't know? Because I say that because Heidi, in Between the Sheets, said Stacey has taught Florian that if he gives her crumbs, she will take it, and then she will build this gigantic thing out of nothing. And so she is not soft with Florian at all. And how is it okay for her to ask him to be soft with her? It is not fair at all. She's not soft with him. She's not nice to him. She's not okay with him. And she expects him to do all that for her. She came in hot in that hotel room, immediately screamed at him. Immediately was like, what's wrong with you? As soon as she opened up the door.
She was like, you're being aggressive with me.
Yeah. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you know what I wrote down when they opened the door? The room was clean. The bed was made and the room was clean.
True. I did notice that.
So I'm not saying that Florian is perfect or anything, but the man picked up the goddamn room, okay?
That room was pristine.
You got to give him some credit, but he winces and shudders when she loses her goddamn mind. And they said that back in like the first couple of episodes. He hates drama because she takes a teeny tiny little thing and blows it up into an extreme. That's what she does to him. But then she expects him to do all of these things that she's not doing. I don't accept that at all. She says, tell me you're sorry. And he says, okay, I'm sorry. And then she still comes at him. Okay, but I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And he's like, okay, here you go, here you go, here you go. They're sitting on the bed. And he keeps giving all of these things to her. And she's still coming at him. So, no. I completely disagree.
I feel like it's really hard because how much of what he's doing is placating her or just patronizing the whole thing? Yeah, I'm done. I am sorry. Just because he wants it over. Because he is so avoidant with a lot of this, which really comes to light, I think, at therapy. She is so reactive. Darcey is so reactive. And it's weird that he has enmeshed himself in this family in this way when it's clearly something that he is not comfortable in those kind of dynamics.
Yeah. But right? Don't you think like what I was thinking of when Heidi said she takes a crumb and Stacey blows it up into something huge. I was thinking about sandbox therapy when he did the family thing. All he did was a family, like a statue, a family portrait. Stacey blew it up into, okay, so my brother died and it was on this day. And there was a complete story behind the fact that he said, this is a picture of my family. And now Stacey has created a 700-page novel.
You're
right?
not wrong.
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what she does.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy Christ, this is what he's used to. So all he has to do is just give her one word and she runs with it and, we're done. He doesn't have to put any effort into anything.
I think that's an interesting take on it. That makes a lot of sense. I'm not mad at it. It was kind of the morning of, so Gino and Jasmine. Jasmine's like, are we going to therapy?
Yeah.
And then you had Julia and Brandon basically say the same thing.
Yeah.
So Julia goes, Brandon's packing his bags.
Ugh.
And he's like, I don't see the point. You've hurt me too much. What else am I going to learn? What else have you got for me?
Yeah.
And fair. He starts talking about how she's done all of these things without his approval. Mm-hmm. And that is one of those things that just sticks me in the eyeball just wrong. And you're like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. It's without having a conversation with me about it, without talking to me about it, without working with me.
Yep.
Any of those things, without looping me in. Sure.
Yep.
Without my approval.
Ew. That gives me the ick.
It gives me the ick. And it would give me the ick whether it was a dude saying it or a woman saying it.
Yes.
I don't need Matt's approval for shit. That is why I have 5 cats. That is why I have 37 fish.
Right.
Right? How dare you?
Yes.
Also, Matt doesn't need my approval.
Right.
That is why on the other side of this camera is a wall of toys.
Right. Not sex toys, people. Not sex toys.
There are a couple dexterity instruments, but we lock those away from the children.
Yes.
No. But could you imagine being like, what do you need approval from your spouse? You have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You are a partnership.
Yeah.
You should be collaborating on.
Yeah.
There's not a hierarchy, and it's very clear. I mean, I know that we're babying Brandon this episode, but it's very clear that there is such a hierarchy in how Brandon sees the world and how he functions within the world. I don't know if it's because his mom's a psycho. I don't know if it's because they are Bible Belt bumfuck nowhere Virginians. I don't know if it's because he's an only child.
You did it.
Is that,
you did
is that
it.
the one?
You did it. Yep.
I think
there it is.
Yeah. I don't know if it's
ding,
because
ding.
his face looks like a turtle. There's so many reasons.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Brandon. I want to like him. I want to like him so bad, but he just keeps fucking it up. So I didn't like that. And then Julia, she just reels him right back in. And she's like, you're just running away. We need to give this one last try at group therapy. And it was like, I honestly watched her have that conversation. And that's the kind of conversation that I have with my son, where I'm like, Sam, you don't want to do this. I totally understand, but we're going to go. And we're going to try. And if you don't like it, we never have to go back. But you are going to give it one good try.
Yep.
And I want you to see, I need to see you put in your effort.
Yep.
And then if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's fine.
Yep.
But we're going to go do it. And he goes, okay.
Yeah. And Sophie had a good point in between the sheets. When she was watching that clip, she said, out in public, Julia seems to be the one wearing the pants in this family in their marriage, right? That's the vibe they put out. But it seems behind closed doors that if Brandon doesn't get what he wants, then he throws a little man tantrum and ends up getting what he wants in the end. So if he doesn't get his approvals, he throws his little fits.
It just occurred to me, do you think that is why Julia brings things up in public?
100%.
So that she has other people to go, that's a reasonable request.
Yes.
Before he has a chance to go, absolutely not.
Absolutely. Because I thought about family therapy. Mm-hmm. She's talking about her parents and the visa, this whole problem. And what did Brandon do? He threw her under the bus and ran away. So the moment something happens with him, like he looks bad in front of his parents, he can't handle it and he leaves. That's what that was. And he can't have that. He can't not be in control. He can't look bad, especially in front of his parents.
Oh God. Well, no, he is a golden child.
Mm-hmm. Right. And only children, that's what it is. It's all about them. And don't come for me, people, because I have a child. I have an only child, and she will say, look, it's all about me. Her husband has to be like, okay, honey, like there are other people in the room. She'd be like, oh yeah, sorry, never mind. Not about me. Right. She's not used to, Yeah.
The dynamics of growing up an only child.
Not used to it.
Yeah, it's a lot different because you're not having to share. You're not having to negotiate things in the same way that you have to when there's, I agree. When he does say, you're not going to drop any more on me, she's like, I'm just trying to be open and honest here. And I want you to do the same thing. I want you to be able to tell me everything at the same way. I just don't think he has anything that interesting. He's like, no, my whole world is hanging out with my mom.
100%.
And then hopefully occasionally getting laid. Like, gross. I don't think he thinks beyond that. Sorry.
Ew, speaking of getting laid in that gross clip for next week, I am not. With the mask, the sex man.
Oh.
Yuck.
So we got to see a clip of Brandon really letting loose.
In sex therapy.
And he is wearing a full leather dog mask, and he's very uninhibited. Mm-hmm. Just using a whip and saying that he is sex man, and he is feeling in his power. I'm very curious on how we got there in 24 hours.
In front of people, too. Right?
In front of people. Yeah. Like, what is he on? What did they slip in his drink? So we'll find out next week.
That's probably Joseph, not Brandon.
Joseph. But that's in front of the therapist, too. Mm-hmm. Well, and then we have Josh and Natalie, but really we only see them during the therapy.
Yeah.
So true. The therapy was great therapy.
Yeah.
There's a couple missteps because you and I are hypercritical. But it's acknowledged by the therapist, so we're fine. But the therapy this week, it's group therapy. They've got the remaining couples there, and it's Heidi, who we like.
Yes.
And Messy James, the therapist. They're talking about trust.
Yes.
They want to talk about trust and how that works. And I think they should have talked about this a lot sooner.
Yeah, at least 4 episodes ago, at least.
Especially because this is like solid therapy. The premise of it started with the icebreaker for the trust therapy. Name one thing, big or small, that you trust about the other person. Just anything at all that you can say, I trust this about that person. And my favorite one, just because Rob has such an emotive face. He says everything with those eyeballs. They were saying, Sophie, what's something that you can trust with Rob? And she says, I trust that he will always take care of our son. And everyone's like, what? Oh, she means their dog.
Yeah.
And he was pissed.
I think rightfully so. I mean, come on.
Found that very irritating as well. And I don't know if that's like, if anyone who has had a pet, like a dog or a cat, before coming into a relationship, and then you have to share that with your partner, and then that pet also becomes theirs. He's like, what do you mean? Yeah, I'll always take care of this dog that I took care of for 8 years before I met you.
Yeah, right.
He was like, she threw it away. Sophie was not as great about this as I think she could have been. Florian and Stacey. Stacey was like, I trust that he's a protector at heart, and he will always put me and my family first and will protect them.
Triangulate.
Right. Right. Okay. And then Florian, because he has not taken a therapy session seriously in his life, was like, name a thing. Give me an example. I trust her. I trust everything. I don't know. Stacey starts naming off in the interview. She's like, here's all the things he doesn't trust me with. Credit cards. What I'm wearing. Who I'm talking to. She's like, no, he doesn't. I thought that was more fun. That's the I love mess part of me was like, can we just talk about what we don't trust?
Yeah.
That sounds like it would be more fun.
That was awesome.
Jasmine and Gino. I don't remember what they said.
Gino says that I
most
trust.
important one.
Yeah, that Jasmine loves me. And Heidi, I love this. In between the sheets, she called herself out. Mm-hmm. She said, that's fucking bullshit. I really wish we would have stopped and talked about that. We just glossed over and said, oh, that's so nice, Gino. And we went on to the next person. Mm-hmm. And she said that absolutely doesn't make any sense because he is going around telling everybody that's why he's withholding sex is because of the words that Jasmine is saying to him. Mm-hmm. And if the words that she's saying are not I love you, then what he is saying that she loves him doesn't make sense. So he can't say that.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like, he's blowing smoke up our ass.
Yeah. So Natalie and Josh.
Oh, Natalie and Josh. The chaos that these two are is so delightful. Mm-hmm. Natalie, she trusts that Josh is a genius.
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 And they're like, oh, so you're saying you trust his decisions. That's great. That's wonderful. That's big.
No. No.
Which
Gosh.
everyone groans at and rolls their eyes. And Jasmine was like, if Josh is a genius, I am Albert Einstein. I'm Mary Curie. She goes, Nobel Prize, Jasmine.
Right. He's a dumbass. There's no way.
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
But anyway, so we get to hear what everyone trusts in the other person, and most of it is whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do Brandon?
Brandon and Julia, yeah.
Brandon and Julia. I liked hers because I thought it was fairly relatable.
Yeah.
She was like, I trust him to drive the car.
Yeah.
She's like, I think it's a little thing, I don't know, but like I trust him to drive the car. I can relax, I can take a nap, I can play on my phone. I trust him to drive the car. And James is like, no, that's huge. You trust him. That's safety. You trust him to keep you safe. And she's like, yeah, he doesn't trust me. Like, and then they show in the interview and he goes, yeah, Julia has failed multiple driving tests. She's like, yeah, I was driving and I misunderstood something. And the driving teacher was like, what the fuck? And had me pull over. Oh, I was a terrible driver. Like, really bad. It's not funny how bad of a bad driver I was, but I was scared of driving for a long time, and I didn't get my license until after I had my own apartment.
Oh.
I had roommates. But, like, until I moved out of my house, I did not have a driver's license. And the day that I got my driver's license, my dad had already bought me, oh my God, Dad gives good presents. Dad got me a little Honda Civic, and it was so cute. And my friend drove me in my new car to the DMV, and I went and I took my test, and I passed that test with flying colors. He was so nice. Then I got my license, and I took a really good picture, and I was so excited. And then I hopped in my car, and I made a right-hand turn out of the parking lot, and I called my dad on my cell phone to say, Dad, I just got my license. And in that moment, I drove my car under a semi-truck.
Oh my God.
And it bopped me around and crushed my car up and flew me out the side. And then I tried to call my dad back and I was, Dad, I just crushed the car. And my dad's like, okay, Jen, I'll talk to you later. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm serious. So then the cops had to call my dad, and my dad was like in a meeting. And then he was like, oh, shit. And then he got me another car, another Honda Civic that I really liked, that I slowly beat up over time. Lots of fender benders, lots of little bumping into things. I lost my back bumper to a Coke machine at Tyson's Corner Mall. Horrible driver. And my stepmom actually set me down, and this was like a pivotal moment for me. She was like, you are going to kill someone.
Yeah.
This isn't okay. This isn't funny. Get your shit together. And that shook me, and I then became a much more diligent driver, and I have only got in car accidents because of other people. I haven't been at fault in like 15 plus years.
Nice.
So Julia might become a better driver.
Yeah.
Maybe.
For sure.
That's the moral of the story. Are you a good driver? I've been in the car with you.
I'm a very good driver. I got my license at 14.
What?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yes, way back when here we could get our license at 14, and I was not very good at 14. But when we had to take our driver's test, it was over at the fairgrounds. And we had to drive in reverse at the fairgrounds, but we were with other students. We were with about 5 other students, and the instructor was up in like the box over, doing like
calling
down like overhead with the microphone, telling us what to do when we were driving in reverse. And I could not do it. I was out in the field. I was in the field. I could not drive in reverse on the track at all. I was terrible. They finally had to stop everybody. They came out to retrieve me, the driving. One of the instructors came in and they're like, yeah, you can't do this. You're terrible at it. We're going to get you back on the track. I finally passed. I got my license, but then I couldn't turn left. I was having trouble with all my lefts. So I never went anywhere that took a left. I would always drive right everywhere. So it took me twice as long to get places. And then I was very scared pulling into parking spaces. So I'd always park way out wherever, in whatever parking lot, Walmart or Albertsons. And so I was always way far away. But I was 14. So I was never parked near anyone because I didn't want to hit a car.
That feels very sweet and like respectful of others.
Yeah.
See, I got mine at 19. I just rear-ended everyone. It was the worst.
It was great.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
So anyway, Julia's a bad driver. Brandon does not trust her to drive. He then gets to say what he trusts about her, and he says, I trust that she will always do whatever she can to make sure that our family prospers. Which, who says prosper?
Right.
It seems very, like,
old
Amish?
school. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't like it. I didn't like it. No.
Not a fan of that one.
No, I wasn't a fan either.
But everyone goes through and does their things that they trust, and everyone's like, "Aw," and it's sweet. And then the big exercise, the big trust exercise, is talk about an issue. What is an issue that we need to work on? Then we're going to find a Band-Aid for that. It's not a long-term solution, but what is something that's going to make us feel better right now? What's a problem that you have, and then what's a Band-Aid we can put on it? And Brandon is very clear. He's like, the issue is I feel lied to, and I feel like she's just throwing out things that are earth-shattering. I need to see her do something to show me that she's in this. I need to see her put something in that's constructive rather than destructive.
Yeah.
So do you trust her to only do things to make sure that your family prospers?
Right. Yeah,
Let's think about it. And so he says, I need for you to go get a second opinion on your fertility issues. That's what I want from you. And they have this turning moment. And she goes, if that's really what you want, then as soon as we leave here, absolutely, that's the first thing I'll do.
Yeah.
That makes him tear up and start crying. And it was like nothing happened. He was literally packing his bags to leave. And he's like, that thing that you kind of already said that you were going to do earlier in the resort in a different therapy session, now you're definitely going to do it? Awesome, we're good.
Right. Now he's sex man, right? He's done. What?
He's the one that will accept crumbs. Like, what are you? You're
one extreme to the other.
Yeah, it was ping pong.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that Heidi said, that's not a bandage. That's a real solution.
Yeah.
Like, you found an actual solution there. So it felt really nice. It felt like the most positive momentum we've had. I think that right there, by the way, we're starting at a high point and it all goes downhill from here. Like, nobody else has a good Band-Aid. Nobody has a Band-Aid that is either a solid Band-Aid or one that I actually believe. Like, Rob and Sophie, they're like, our big issue is communication. So they're going to have their Band-Aid to this is having timed, dated check-ins. I'm sorry, that sounds like Rob wants a paper trail. Right? Like, that's what
Paper trail.
Doesn't that seem like what it is?
I guess. Yeah.
Timed, dated check-ins. And the therapists are like, that's a great idea. If you feel like you're not having the ability to, like, really communicate with each other, making a plan to sit down and go, how are things? Where are you at?
Yeah. I just remembered she doesn't live with him. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I guess she's got to do it on FaceTime. But, like, again, that sounds like he's going to use it in court.
Okay. Yep.
I would have assumed that that's what you thought immediately as well. Timed, dated. I want it notarized.
Well, someone has to take care of their son, so they do need it.
Where is the dog? It's with him. I trust that he'll take care of the dog. Another one that was like a pile of nothing was Florian and Stacey. Their issue is that they're not listening to each other, and their Band-Aid is tone and eye contact. We're going to look at each other when we're talking, and we're not going to yell. Okay. We're going to watch our tone.
Okay, yeah.
And even the therapists were like, that's the most we're going to get out of anybody here.
Right. I mean, he does look at her when he goes, the fuck are you talking about, Stacey?
Yeah, but he needs to watch his tone.
Yeah. That's true. Maybe he could leave out the F word when he says it. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, that wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot that happened with Natalie and Josh. And they're fun because what the fuck? So their issue in their relationship is disrespecting each other. I don't think that that's their biggest issue. I think they have so many issues, and I think that is, at least they're talking when they're disrespecting each other.
True.
Okay. But they decided that it was, the disrespecting is the problem, so that Josh came up with this genius idea that he was going to use the word infinity, and that would be a code word because she loves the word infinity. It's an ancient thing. Wizards use the infinity symbol in their spells books. So he's going to use that, and that's going to be everyone's note to like not be disrespectful of each other. And it's amazing that he came up with this idea. And they're like, okay, so that's your issue. And you see her kind of go like, And what's amazing is the therapists are doing their job. And they were like, what's that? What was that? We're making a little face. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about this? And Josh is sitting there going, no, you don't want to talk about it. We're all done. You're great. You love what we just said. I'm a genius. And she's like, she's basically saying she needs trust and respect. For her to feel like she's getting that, the Band-Aid would be, she wants to see his house. If she could see his house, she would feel that. And he's like, well, maybe stop disrespecting me when we're talking to each other. So the infinity Ouroboros snake eating itself perfection in that moment, because it's just this vicious cycle. Something just broke in my house.
What was that?
Probably a plate.
Wow.
It's fine. But anyway, it's this vicious cycle of she wants to see his house. He needs to feel perfectly respected. And as long as she doesn't respect him, he's not going to let her see her house. It's kind of like Gino withholding sex.
Yeah. Yes.
She's never going to see that house.
Or like Sophie put it, it's the social media passwords.
I love that she said it the same way.
I did it.
Social media.
Yep.
Social media.
Yep.
But again, we get the juiciest bits in between the sheets. That sounds gross.
Ooh.
But in this case, it's true. Because they show us an unaired scene with Darcey and Natalie in the pool together.
Yeah.
Talking about the night before and all this stuff. And how Natalie's not feeling like secure in the relationship. And then she starts saying that basically she feels like she's wearing a mask. Yeah. That she's kind of created this different version of herself to fit into this lifestyle that she's never experienced before, that she finds so fascinating. His career, the people that he's around, the culture that he's part of. When she was with Michael, she was in the country, and it was a totally different experience than what it's like in LA. I think that that's kind of understandable. Now she's in LA, and she's like, I started doing things to try and fit in more. There's holes in the story, though. Because she's like, I started drinking and I never drank before, and now I'm smoking to try and feel cool there. Josh doesn't drink, so she's not drinking to impress Josh, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't, does he smoke? I don't know. He doesn't seem like, I think he's like, I'm not really into that. So she's kind of like lying to Darcey. She's spinning this story and convincing herself that that's true in a way.
Maybe the people he hangs out with do those things. I can see that.
Maybe. The other juicy tidbit that we got from Jasmine, I think Sophie said it, I think Ari said it, basically is that Josh has a live-in girlfriend. that is not Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
And this live-in girlfriend is involved in his work life like Natalie wants to be. She's involved with his kids like Natalie wants him to be. And they have an open relationship of sorts. She is fine with him going and having relationships outside of what they have together, as long as she's like, they need to eat after me. She needs to be the only one that's that involved, which, wow. And apparently, she is basically a younger version of Natalie.
So, super judgy Josh is basically living the life that he's telling Gino and Jasmine basically not to live, and that it's so disgusting and horrible to live, and lying bold-faced to Natalie. And, right? He doesn't like Natalie. That's why she's not coming to his house. Oh, and there's somebody else there. We all knew that in the beginning because there's somebody else there. Why else would you not bring your girlfriend to your home? Because somebody else is there. That's why.
I mean, I had genuinely thought maybe Josh is a poor. Like, maybe Josh is putting on this big show and this big front for everybody. The truth behind the curtain is that the Wizard of Oz is there's no clothes or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's too many metaphors. But I think that there's something going on there that he's like hiding. And I thought it was that. I thought that he was just wildly less impressive. He's renting this car. He's putting on this whole show. None of this is real. He's drawing on his tattoos with magic markers before he meets up with everyone. But yeah, it's actually that he has this girlfriend. We think allegedly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny because there's no solution there. It's not going to get better. And again, we have heard little tidbits that he's going to reveal his real girlfriend at the reunion.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, everybody. I'm excited.
Oh.
And now our favorites. Gino and Jasmine. God love her. I'm Team Jasmine in the end, guys.
Yep.
I didn't know that I was going to feel this way, but I really, really am Team Jasmine. They had this long conversation in the hotel room where she's like, do you want to go? Do you want to try and give this one more chance? I don't want this open relationship for myself so I could just get everything I want. I want this for both of us. He was like, well, what if I just went and had sex with somebody else? She's like, if that's what you want to do, we would talk about it. We would negotiate it. We would have that conversation. For someone who is thinking that that's a real solution, she's putting out her case, I think, really, really well. But he doesn't want that.
No.
Because, again, what is the most important part of these open relationships? That you have trust and communication and that you are secure and can keep your jealousy in check. And neither of these adults have those skills. So when they get to therapy and they do their what do they trust in each other, the biggest issue for Gino is that he doesn't feel like he can trust her and he doesn't know where she's at. There are times that she's out at all hours of the night, times that she goes to the gym and spends way longer there than she should, which I've been to the gym with a professional pole dancer, and she's there for like 3 hours at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing that every day. So there are some people, and I think if you look like Jasmine, you probably have to be there all the time to maintain it.
Yeah.
Especially if you've spent that much money on it.
Yeah.
Like you've probably, and if they put them in upside down, you've probably got to do extra work to keep them in place.
Yeah.
So he thinks that the solution, the Band-Aid, is he wants her location to be turned on. I want to know where you're fucking someone else.
Oh my God.
Right? Like, how is that going to make you feel better? Having more information while she's sleeping with someone else, that's what's going to make you feel better? That seems cuckoo to me.
Have you ever, since we've had this technology, had a boyfriend where you've had the location and you've watched it? Like Sheena Shea, you've seen everybody's location? Never. I have never had that in my entire life. Ever.
I think part of it might be generational, although I think I'm the same age as Sheena Shea. I do know people, I'm not going to name any names, but you know who you are.
Whoa.
Who expect everyone to share their location and check all the time, which I think is an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
Matt has my location. I have Matt's location. And I will tell you why. I need to know if it's too late to call him if I want him to actually get me a Snickers bar before he leaves Target. I need to know if he's left Target or not. That is literally the only reason that I ever use it. How far is he away? Did he already leave the store? Because I definitely forgot to ask him to grab me something. That is 100% it. And I've done it 20 times. Do you have Steve's location? Well, Steve doesn't have...
Steve has a flip phone, y'all. Like,
it's the one that looks like a hungry hippo.
Yeah. We're talking Nokia from, I don't even know, 1991. People, help me. Help me. I can't.
He lives in a parallel universe where he does not have everything in his phone.
No.
When he texts, I've seen him text.
Beep, 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 beep.
He's got to hit the button 3 times to get the letter E.
It's horrifying. Horrifying.
It's the slowest, most painful thing.
Yeah, no.
But I think he likes it. He wants that.
He absolutely does.
For himself.
But
which I've seen him on the iPad in the evenings. I think his life would be ruined if he had Facebook Marketplace on his phone.
Fuck, he would be walking around like this and run into walls. He'd get run over. He'd walk right into the street and die because he couldn't put it down.
He would never if he didn't have the limitations of it's nighttime and people aren't going to be answering his emails. Yeah. Your house would be a hoarder's home.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I love you, Uncle Steve.
100%.
But I think that he is making the right choice for himself to not have that kind of phone. But at the same time, there are some things that you're missing out on, like you better fucking answer your phone so Keeley knows if you've left Albertsons or not.
No, here's the problem. I turn into his goddamn secretary because
that's true.
He goes, well, can you look up what time the movie starts? Can you find out where this thing is? Can you see how much this costs? Bitch, I don't work for you. Like, no, I can't. No, get a real phone. Do it yourself. Call them. No. That's what happens. And we get in so many fights over that. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't work for you. Get a real phone. And people do that. We're out. We are out in public, at a store, at movies or whatever. And they say, can you look up or look at this or something? And he pulls his phone out. And people are like, what is that? And so then I have to look it up. And they're like, why don't you get a real phone? And he goes, I don't. I got hurt. And I'm like, no, I don't work for you, dude. No.
So I'm not a terribly tech literate person. Matt is more like he reads the instructions and I go, I'll figure it out. And then I usually don't figure it out. And then what's made it great is then I always have plausible deniability. So I get to be Steve and I'm like, what is it? And then Matt's like, oh my God, I'll just do it. So I'm Steve and I have the cell phone. So Steve, there's ways to work the system.
Oh God, don't say that. It's terrible. 100% terrible. No. It's so awful. No, I have never had to ask someone to share their location. I would never do that. And I was cheated on. I was married to a serial cheater. And we had cell phones back then where I could find his location. And I absolutely did not want any of that.
I mostly resent the location technology. Yeah. I think it's great for having kids. I think it's great for like Find My Phone if it got stolen. Mm-hmm. But mostly if you lose your phone, you lose your phone.
Or like Dateline, if you're murdered. Come on, all of that stuff.
Or it's good for murders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad.
Right.
For murderers.
It is
So I guess that makes it good.
Yeah.
But yeah, hard times. That's what Gino decided would be his solution to all of this. And that maybe he could be more open to the open marriage if that was something that was going on. Which 20 minutes ago, he was like, you're a cheater.
Yep.
I can't stand you. Yep. You've broken my heart. Jasmine, you can see, is just whiplash.
Yeah.
She's like, Gino is unpredictable. Yeah. What the hell, Gino? Wait, no, you aren't open to this.
Yeah, no.
And that is not a real solution. I don't feel like he took this seriously. He didn't think about it for more than 2 seconds. I want your location. Where are you with Matt?
No, I think he strings her along. He gives her these little crumbs, makes her think that he will acquiesce, do what she wants, gets her excited, and then he breaks her heart all over again. And it's cruel. He is just cruel to her. And he likes it. He does it on purpose.
Yeah. And he just plays a dum-dum. He just pretends to be so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so
and he's
annoying.
Not.
He's not.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
No, he's not. And I like that the therapist, Heidi, knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And in some way calls him out, even though she didn't do it to his face.
No. But she knows it. Reba knows it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. Except for Sarah. Ugh.
Oh my God. Speaking of Sarah, I think we only have maybe 2 episodes left, but
Something
in the
like
clip,
that.
for next week, we unfortunately get to see her again.
They have like everybody there all at once.
Yeah.
All hands on deck. Like, we haven't really seen you, but we'll all come back together at the end. They did not do their jobs.
Mm-mm.
Well, we are ever closer to other shows that we are excited to see. We keep getting little tidbits. They're breadcrumbing us
Yeah.
with Vanderpump Rules. And I am amped. Do they even have a release date officially for the Valley yet?
Yes, April 15.
Oh! Oh, it's a good day.
Yes, ma'am.
So April 15th, mark it on your calendars. It's going to be good. I am ready to see Jax implode. I'm ready to see the 3 under 3 turn into 4 under 4. It's going to be great. Ready for Kristen Doty to have a baby for some reason. Can you not? I'm recording.
Well, you need to go find out who broke your dish. If it was a ghost or your kid.
You know what, though? So my son, Henry, collects and uses Depression-era glassware. And he also really likes old Fiesta ware and doesn't eat off regular plates. I have dishes that are house dishes, and he does not use those. He uses a uranium glass sundae bowl or sorbet glass or a goblet or all these different fancy plates. And he is also constantly breaking them. Oh. So it's this collection that he also he moves himself through it. So I'm assuming it's one of those old collectible pieces of history. I hope one of those.
Oh, no, you don't.
And not one of mine.
No, you don't. Not really.
Oh, there's so much. There's no room. I'm hoping that we are going to redo our pantry as our spring break project, which is where he houses all of his dishware that isn't on display. We're a house of collectors, and it's getting out of control.
Nice.
Because my husband has Facebook Marketplace on his phone.
That's so funny.
So with that...
Okay, we better go. Bye-bye.
We better go.
All right, you can cut all this out.
I love you. I love you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you have a really fun weekend.
Okay.
And you actually have a couple fun weekends, and I'm excited for you. Mm-hmm. And then next week, we'll update you guys on that and My Magician.
Okay. Hope it's not weird.
I hope it is. All right. See you next week,
Love
guys. Love you. Bye-bye.